Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Boreal Bushcraft Canada. What I'd like to talk about today is the contents of my little leather pouch that I carry on my belt kit. I know that there was a couple of people out there who were asking, to see what I carry in it. So today, this is what I'm going to be discussing, the contents of my belt kit pouch. So stay with me guys, I'm going to move the camera around, zoom in on the table here so I'll show you what we got in that little pouch. Stay with me. Okay guys, well, I would have loved to do this outside, but it was just too much background noise. The kids were frolicking out in the backyards today because it's such a beautiful day, and you wouldn't be hearing me, you'd be hearing these kids. So I decided to take it indoors. So let's go ahead with this, the revealing of what I keep in my little pouch here. Now, this pouch here, it's a beautiful piece of kit. Unfortunately, I can't remember who the maker was. I acquired this beautiful little pouch in a trade that I did with my buddy Lee, and I traded a little Ganford Brooks forest hatchet for that baby, and I've been using it ever since. Very cool little pouch. I just love that little thing. So let's get on to what I keep in there. As you can see, I have a Hudson's Bay tobacco tin, and it's strapped together with a couple of Ranger bands on this oversized Crayola crayon carrying case, which you can probably pick up in these department stores. I think I paid $1 for this, and all I did to it was I just spray painted it green, and it's about 2.5 times the size of an Altoids tin, and I can affix this the Hudson's Bay tin perfectly in this little I don't know what you want to call it, indentation in the back of the tin. I only had to open the lips a bit here so it can fit in there snugly. Put the 2 Ranger bands on either side, and it just slips into that leather pouch perfectly. So let's start with the with my tobacco tin here. What I carry in here is a little bit of tinder. You'll see that I have some old man's beard, and it's all dried up, and this is ready to receive a spark. I have a little piece of shagga, and of course we have the shavings of birch bark over here. I also carry some fatwood, about 1.5 or 2 inches of 100% cotton webbing, which I charred. I burnt the ends and I charred it, and this thing here is ready to receive a spark, or you can start it by solar ignition. Very handy, very versatile. And of course we have our charred cloth. Now all these things in here, like all these little elements, could be started with solar ignition, and that's why I keep them in here. And let me go on to the other stuff. You'll notice that I have a sail needle over here, which is taped down to the lid with some duct tape. I have a little El Cheapo folding knife, and it's got a serrated edge too on the side over here if I have to scrape some wood or what have you. Nothing fancy. El Cheapo. I think I paid like what, $8 for this thing. I do carry a lighter with me, And I also have a match which I rolled some toilet tissue around and dipped it in wax. I think she will burn for, if I'm not mistaken, close to 3 minutes. And she's waterproof too. Come on. This stuff here we're going to talk about a little later on. I carry a couple of alcohol swabs, and they're sealed to disinfect or to start a fire or whatever. I also have what is called a slow match, and basically what this thing here is a piece of copper tubing, and it has a cotton rope or a cotton piece of cloth inserted into it, and it's charred at one end. And all that this is meant to do, I'll show you how this thing here works, is you want to start a fire. I mean, you know, this end is already charred, so what you do, you take your solar, you take your magnifying loupe or your ferro rod or whatever you want to use to light this thing up, to throw a spark on it. And once you get your amber and you're finished using it, all you have to do is pull on the other end, which brings it back into that cylinder, and then you can just snuff it out, and it just prolongs the life of your rope or your cloth. Slow match is what that is. I have a little flashlight here, and it's pretty intense. It's a LED flashlight, and it's pretty strong and compact. Fits perfectly in here. I also carry a little mini ferro rod. This is an El Cheapo job. I think I paid like 95 cents for this, or $2, whatever. But I also carry my Big Bertha on my belt. So this is just a secondary thing in case I lose my Big Bertha, whatever. I have a couple of straws where I inserted some cotton, which I had rubbed Vaseline, petroleum jelly on them, and therefore they can also be used to light a fire, and they can burn for an extended period of time. I have some 18 bank line over here, number 18, which I believe is approximately tested to 150, 160 pounds. I got about 25 feet of this. I have the Leatherman Squirt. I like this little baby here. She's cute, and she's very functional and very practical. It's got a pretty good set of pliers on it and some other tools. Being compact as it is, it fits in here perfectly. I also carry my flint and steel, which I don't practice enough, although this is not too hard of a you know, a means to start a fire. It's pretty simple. You guys know the drill. You just hold your charred cloth on one end of this thing, and then you just like kind of bingo, you know, you hit it, create a spark, and then you get your amber and so on and so forth. Now, speaking of tools like this to start fires, whether it be a flint and steel, a bow drill, a hand drill, you know, we watch all these guys on TV and on the net, and they, you know, like they do these, they start fires with easily, like, I mean, it's second nature to them. And why is it second nature to them, and they can start fires like so quickly, where when we try it, it takes us for days on end, you know, like the bow drill. I mean, I've started fires with a bow drill, but there's no way in heck that I can start a fire with a bow drill within 10 minutes, you know. I need at least 20, sometimes even half an hour. And sometimes I just give up. And what it all is, it's practice, guys. You just have to practice. I mean, if you guys want to be as good as some of these guys on TV, all it is practice. They say it has to come to you second nature. What's second nature, you say? Well, for me, second nature is getting into my car and putting on my seatbelt. Putting that seatbelt on is second nature. It comes automatically. As soon as I get into my car and I close my door, you know, before I even put the ignition, the key into the ignition, I put on my seatbelt. Well, all these guys who practice these, practice starting these fires with whether it be a bow drill, a hand drill, etc., etc., they practice days on end, and it becomes second nature to them. You know, same way like this would be second nature. You know, you just flick the bic, light the fire. These guys just play with a bow drill and away they go. Well, you got to practice. If you continuously practice, you'll get it. You'll be just as good as they are. Next in line is a quality credit card tool over here. It's made out of stainless steel, and it's pretty good quality. It's got an edge, got a screwdriver, pretty decent piece of kit. And last but not least, little button compass. 99 cents, that's all it costs. Doesn't take up too much room, and you never know when you're going to need it. So I just throw it in there and it becomes part of my kit. Now moving on to what I was saying before that I said I was going to talk about later on in this episode. This, my friends, is what we call rub cloth. Okay? Not so much this thing here, because what I did, I used the same recipe as I would to make rub cloth, and I just cut a piece of rope, 100% cotton rope, and I dipped it into that slurry, and I wanted to see how this would work, because it's not as fragile as these things. If these things, you know, they can break if you just bend them. So anyway, now this stuff here I keep separate from my chart cloth. You should never mistake this for this. Chart cloth and rub cloth are two totally different elements. They're two different things. This chart cloth, we all know, you take a spark to it, it'll create a little amber, you blow on it, you put it in your bird's nest, and away you go. Chances of getting burnt with a chart cloth are very, very slim. As opposed to rub cloth, this is a gunpowdered and impregnated piece of cotton. Now, what this does, as soon as it receives a spark, it'll flash, give off intense heat, and will keep this little piece of cotton burning for a pretty long period of time, which will give you enough time to even create a bird's nest. I mean, this thing will keep burning for a while. It'll keep smoldering. Although it is very dangerous, and if you don't have to make this stuff, stay away. We have another video where we show you guys how to make this stuff here, if anyone is interested, and I believe it's the Fire Patch by Boreal Bushcraft Canada. So, in a nutshell, that's what it is. I carry all these things mostly all the time on my belt, and I have a few other items that I carry in my pockets. So I'm pretty well down packed, you know, survival ready. But again, survival is all about practice, guys. You want to survive out there, you got to practice mentally, you got to practice physically, and you got to practice all these things that you see on TV. And I stress it often enough, although I don't practice it myself as much as I should. You know, I'm home making kits and going camping and whatever, but you know, to practice making fire and all that, I don't do that as much as I should, I'm sorry to say. Anyway, guys, I hope this was interesting. I hope I answered some of your questions, and if you need any more information, or if there's something you want me to talk about here on our channel, then please feel free to leave a comment. In the meantime, I want to thank you for being with me again, and I'll see you guys on the next vid. I just want to do this to show you the intensity of the flash and the burn that these little fire patches or rub cloth patches will create if you throw a spark on them. And I'm just doing this to show you how dangerous this thing could be, and you got to be extremely cautious when doing so, and keep your ferro rod away from it. Don't go up close to it, because this thing will flash in an instant and it will inflict burns on you, and I mean serious burns. Check this out. See that? And that thing will just keep smoldering there.